My dad's experiment went wrong. Now I'm his daughter. I never wanted to be anyone's daughter. Yet, as I stood in front of the mirror, long, silky hair brushing against my shoulders, a delicate, feminine face staring back at me, I couldn't deny what I had become. And worst of all, my own father had done this to me. Who I used to be. Before everything changed, my name was Ethan Caldwell. 22, freshly graduated, and desperately searching for a way out of my father's shadow. He was a scientist, a genius in the field of genetic engineering, and as far back as I could remember, I had always been his test subject. Not in a cruel, locked-in-a-lab kind of way, but my entire life he had tried to shape me into something I wasn't. Stand up straight, Ethan. Men don't hesitate. Make a decision. You'll never be taken seriously if you don't act like a man. I wasn't some hypermasculine alpha. I wasn't weak either, but I was never enough for him. My interests, too soft. My mannerisms, too careful. My voice lacked the weight of authority. So, when I finally got my degree in computer science, I swore I'd never work for him. I wanted my own career, my own life, free from the experiments, free from the expectations. But life doesn't work that way. Trapped back home. A month after graduation, reality hit me like a brick wall. No one wanted to hire a fresh-out-of-college programmer with no experience. I applied everywhere, startups, tech giants, freelance gigs. Nothing. The only job I could land was working as an assistant in my father's lab. It wasn't supposed to be permanent, just something to keep me afloat while I searched for something better. But the longer I stayed, the harder it became to leave. My dad made sure of that. Every day, he dangled some new breakthrough in front of me, pulling me deeper into his world. Ethan, we're on the verge of something incredible. Ethan, just imagine what this could do for medical science. Ethan, don't you want to be part of history? And like a fool, I kept listening. Until the night everything changed. The night of the experiment. It started as a routine evening at the lab. I was working late, double-checking some of my father's data while he prepped for a new phase of testing. The experiment, a genetic resequencing serum designed to alter human DNA at a fundamental level. The goal was noble: repair genetic defects, reverse aging, even cure diseases. But my father wasn't interested in just fixing things. He wanted proof that his formula worked. Undeniable, irrefutable proof. And that's where I came in. I was poring over lines of code when I heard my dad curse from across the lab. "Damn it, the simulation's unstable," he muttered. I glanced up. "What's wrong?" He ran a frustrated hand through his graying hair. "We're missing something. The genetic alterations are taking effect in the models, but the sequence isn't locking in. The changes revert after a few hours." I frowned, stepping closer to the monitor. Maybe the stabilizer protein isn't binding properly. "Did you try increasing the exposure time?" He exhaled sharply. "We don't have time for that. We need a real test." I should have known where this was going. I should have walked away. Instead, I let my curiosity get the better of me. "How real?" I asked cautiously. His eyes met mine, and I saw it, the same determination that had driven every decision he'd ever made. "Human trial." My stomach twisted. "Dad, that's insane. The formula hasn't even passed the primate phase yet." "That's because we're wasting time," he snapped. "This is ready. We just need a controlled subject." He didn't say it outright. He didn't need to. I was the controlled subject. I laughed nervously. "Yeah, no thanks. I like my DNA the way it is." But my dad had never been one to take no for an answer. I turned away, heading for the exit. That's when I felt it, a sharp prick at the back of my neck. The world tilted, my vision blurred, and then everything went black. A new reality. When I woke up, I knew something was wrong. For one, my body felt off. Smaller. Lighter. My limbs weren't as long. My center of gravity had shifted, and my chest. I bolted upright, gasping. My hands flew to my torso, fingers brushing against something that should not be there. Softness. Curves. No. I scrambled out of the hospital-style cot, nearly tripping over my own legs. That's when I saw my reflection in the lab's glass window. A girl stared back at me. She was me. Long, wavy brown hair. Soft, delicate features. A slender, feminine frame wrapped in an oversized hospital gown. My Adam's apple was gone. My hands were smaller. My voice. Oh God, my voice. I pressed a hand to my throat. It was higher, softer, completely different. A choked noise escaped my lips. What did you do to me? Behind me, my father sighed. Finally, he murmured. It worked. The father-son relationship destroyed. I spun around, rage boiling in my veins. You turned me into a... I couldn't even say it. My brain refused to process the reality. He was watching me with something close to pride. You're proof, Ethan, he said. The formula is stable. You're living evidence that we can reshape human biology at will. My breath came in short, panicked gasps. You had no right. I gestured wildly at myself, my hand shaking. I didn't agree to this. His expression hardened. This is bigger than you. Bigger than me. I shook my head, backing away. Change me back. He didn't answer. Oh God. He couldn't. I stumbled, gripping the edge of a table for support. My father sighed again, as if I was the one being unreasonable. It's temporary. The formula should wear off in a few days. I clung to that word. Should. But the doubt in his voice sent a chill down my spine. You're lying, I whispered. He didn't deny it. And that's when I knew. I wasn't getting my old body back. At least, not anytime soon. The outside world. Panic flooded my brain. I had to get out of here. I had to think. I had to. My phone. Where was it? I spotted my belongings on a nearby counter and lunged for them. I fumbled with the lock screen, my hands unsteady. My heart pounded as I pulled up my messages. There at the top of my inbox was a text from Emma. Emma, hey babe, everything okay? Haven't heard from you. I stared at the words, at the person I used to be, and I realized the terrifying truth. Ethan Caldwell was gone. And as far as the world was concerned, I was someone else entirely. I was trapped. Not in the lab. Not physically. My father made it clear I was free to leave whenever I wanted. But I couldn't. Not like this. Not looking like this. I spent the first hour after waking up trying to convince myself this wasn't real. That my father had drugged me. That this was some hallucination. That if I blinked hard enough, I'd wake up as myself again. But every time I moved, every time I felt the unfamiliar weight on my chest, the way my hair tickled my shoulders, or the sheer difference in how my body felt, I knew. This was real. This was me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab my father and shake him until he admitted this was all a sick joke. But the look in his eyes told me the truth. He wasn't sorry. He was proud. This is an opportunity, Ethan, he said, like he was bestowing some great gift upon me. An opportunity? My voice cracked, soft, high-pitched, wrong. You turned me into a... I stopped myself before I said the word. A girl. My father exhaled, as if I was being dramatic. You have a unique chance to understand this experiment from the inside. To document your experiences, too? To what? I exploded. Live like this? Pretend this is normal. He folded his arms. For now. For now. I turned away, my breath ragged. I couldn't let Emma see me like this. I couldn't let anyone see me like this. Who would believe me? Who would look at me, this girl, and see Ethan Caldwell? I had to know. I had to see what he had done to me. So I turned to the mirror. The face that stared back was beautiful. I hated that word, but there was no other way to describe it. My features were softer, my lips fuller. My eyes were larger, framed by thick lashes. My hair, once short and forgettable, cascaded down past my shoulders in loose waves. My body was lean, feminine, curves in all the right places. I was petite, smaller than I'd ever been. My arms slender, my waist impossibly narrow. And my clothes didn't fit. The oversized hospital gown swallowed me, barely clinging to my frame. I swallowed hard. This wasn't just a minor change. This wasn't something I could hide. This was total. Complete. I was unrecognizable. I couldn't wear my old clothes. I tried, God, I tried. I found my jeans and tugged them on, but they wouldn't button. My hoodie hung loose around my shoulders, but the sleeves were too long, and it made me look even smaller. I stared at my reflection, horrified. I couldn't go out like this. I couldn't face Emma like this. Dad, I croaked. I need clothes. Of course, he said, far too calmly. I had some things prepared, just in case. Just in case. Like he planned for this. My stomach turned as he handed me a neatly folded stack of clothing. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to see. But I had no choice. I unfolded the first item. A bra. My hands clenched. You're joking. My father gave me a look. You'll need support. You can't ignore basic anatomy. I wanted to throw it in his face. But he was right. I grabbed the rest of the clothes and stormed into the bathroom, slamming the door shut behind me. I stood there, staring at the pile of fabric on the counter. A bra, a pair of lacy black panties, a simple fitted t-shirt, a pair of jean shorts. Everything looked too small, too feminine. I reached for the bra first, hesitant. I had no idea how to put one on. I fumbled with the straps, my fingers clumsy and awkward. After minutes of struggling, I finally managed to clasp it behind my back. The sensation was bizarre. Snug. Restrictive. The weight on my chest felt more noticeable now, like I was suddenly hyper-aware of my new form. I moved on to the panties, hesitating again. I didn't want to think about what was different down there. I just pulled them on and forced myself to breathe. The shorts were tight, hugging my new curves in ways I wasn't used to. When I pulled the t-shirt over my head, the transformation was complete. I looked in the mirror. Not a trace of Ethan Caldwell remained. I wasn't just cross-dressing. I was her. Whoever she was. I needed time. I needed space to figure this out. But time wasn't on my side. My phone buzzed. Emma. Emma. Hey, babe, everything okay? Haven't heard from you. My stomach clenched. What was I supposed to say? Hey, funny story. My dad accidentally turned me into a girl. BRB. No. I had to buy time. I texted back. Me? Yeah, just busy. Can we talk later? Her reply was instant. Emma, you okay? You sound off. I was spiraling. She knew. She could already tell something was wrong. I needed an excuse. My dad's voice cut through my panic. We need to run more tests. I turned to him, anger flaring. Are you serious? You've done enough. He didn't flinch. You don't know if the transformation is stable. If it starts reversing in public, you'll have bigger problems. That shut me up. I hadn't even considered that. What if I suddenly changed back in front of Emma? What if I walked into the world like this, only to have my body betray me? A new fear gripped me. I wasn't just trapped like this. I was stuck between two identities, one I couldn't return to, and one I didn't understand. And I had no idea which one was permanent. The next few hours were a blur. My father ran more tests, taking blood samples, checking my vitals. I sat there in silence, arms crossed, seething. But I wasn't the only problem. Emma wouldn't stop texting. She was getting suspicious. And then, Emma, I'm coming over. My breath stopped. I shot to my feet. Dad! He looked up. I have to go home. His brows furrowed. You can't. I clenched my fists. Emma's coming over. If I don't show up, she'll get worried. A pause. Then, slowly. Then you'll have to go home like this. Like this. As a girl. I felt the ground fall away beneath me. Emma was coming. And I had minutes to figure out what to do. I paced my father's lab, my pulse hammering. You have to fix this. Right now. My father sighed, adjusting his glasses. Ethan! Don't call me that! I snapped, the words flying out before I could stop them. He raised a brow. I swallowed. I didn't even know why I'd said that. It was still my name. I was still me. Wasn't I? My phone buzzed again. Emma, babe? I'm outside. Are you home? My throat closed. I had no choice. I had to go home. Like this. Underscore 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 underscore. The walk home. I couldn't stop feeling everything. The way my long hair brushed against my shoulders, the faint breeze slipping beneath my too short shorts, the unfamiliar weight on my chest with every step. I wasn't just dressed like a girl. I was one. And if I wasn't careful, Emma was going to figure that out. I turned the corner and spotted her standing by my door, her arms folded. She was wearing that impatient look she always got when I took too long to text back. This was a test, and I couldn't fail. I swallowed hard and walked up the steps. Emma turned at the sound, her brows knitting together. "Hey," her eyes flicked over me. She was confused, suspicious. "Do I know you?" My voice nearly failed me. I couldn't sound like Ethan. Not with this body. I forced a breath. Higher. Softer. Yeah. I'm Ethan's cousin." Emma's frown deepened. "His cousin?" I nodded quickly. "Yeah, Ethan had to leave town last minute. Family emergency. He asked me to check on things. I was talking too fast. Too nervous." Emma's gaze lingered on me. "That's weird. He didn't say anything." My heart pounded. It was sudden. A long silence. Then Emma crossed her arms. "Okay. Then what's your name?" I froze. I didn't have a name. I hadn't thought of a name. My mind raced, grabbing for anything. Anything. "Eve," I blurted. Emma narrowed her eyes. "Eve." I nodded. "Yeah. Eve Caldwell. My last name. A stupid mistake." But Emma just sighed and rolled her eyes. "Ethan should have told me," she muttered, brushing past me toward the door. Panic surged. She couldn't go inside. My stuff was everywhere. I stepped in front of her. "Wait!" Emma blinked at me. I scrambled for an excuse. I was actually about to head out. I was just checking on the place real quick." Emma frowned. "What's the rush?" I could feel her suspicion growing. My hands clenched into fists. "I forgot something at the lab." Emma stiffened. "The lab?" I cursed internally. She knew about my dad's work. She hated it. Her suspicion sharpened into something colder. "What's really going on?" I had to leave. Now. I pushed past her, practically running down the steps. "I'll talk to Ethan." "Sorry." Emma grabbed my wrist and stopped me. The moment her fingers closed around my arm, I knew. I knew she felt it. The difference. My wrist was smaller. My skin was softer. My bones were different. I saw it on her face, the realization. The slow widening of her eyes. Her fingers trembled. "What?" I ripped my arm away. "I have to go." I turned and sprinted. "Wait!" Emma shouted. But I didn't stop. Because if I faced her, I'd have to admit the truth. And I wasn't ready. I didn't stop running until I reached my dad's lab. I slammed the door behind me, gasping for breath. My legs felt weak, my hands shaking. My father looked up from his notes. "What happened?" I stared at him. Then I cracked. Tears burned my eyes. I pressed my hands against my face, my nails digging into my skin. She knows. I didn't even know if that was true. But Emma felt something was wrong. And that was enough. My father set his pen down. "Then you have a choice." I lifted my head. He gestured toward the mirror across the room. "Look at yourself." I didn't want to. But I did. And for the first time, I really looked. Not just at the body. Not just at the changes. But at me. Eve. That was the moment. The moment I realized I wasn't just playing a role. I wasn't just pretending. A part of me fit. And that terrified me. I turned back to my father. "Can you fix this?" He was silent for a long time. Then carefully he said, "Do you want me to?" I did. Didn't I? I opened my mouth. But no words came out. Because I didn't know. And that was the real fear. A knock. I froze. My father's gaze flicked to the door. "Were you followed?" I turned cold. Slowly, my father walked over and opened it. And standing there, Emma, breathless, eyes wide. And the moment she saw me, she knew. "Ethan!" I felt my whole world shatter. The world felt like it had stopped. Emma stood in the doorway, her breathing uneven, her eyes locked onto me. Not just at me, at who I had become. I knew what she saw. A girl who shouldn't exist. A girl who, just yesterday, was her boyfriend. Her lips parted. "Ethan!" I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. Every part of me screamed to run, to hide, to fix this before it was too late. But it already was too late. Emma's gaze darted between my face and my father. "What? What is this?" She didn't understand. Of course, she didn't. How could she? Her boyfriend had disappeared, and standing in his place was someone else, a stranger with his eyes. Emma took a step inside. I took a step back. "No," I whispered. "Emma, please." She shook her head. "No, you don't get to ask me that." Her voice was sharp, but beneath it, I heard the hurt, the fear. "Tell me the truth. Right now." I felt myself trembling. If I told her, if I admitted what happened, what would she do? Would she leave me? Would she hate me? My father cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should." "Shut up," Emma snapped, barely sparing him a glance. Her focus was on me. I felt like I was about to break apart. This was it. The moment everything would change. I swallowed hard. My voice came out barely above a whisper. "It's me." Emma's expression flickered. A second of silence stretched too long. And then, she laughed. A breathless, shaky laugh. No, that's insane." She took a step closer, looking at me more carefully. Her hand twitched like she wanted to touch me, but didn't dare. "You're lying." I shook my head. "I wish I was." Emma's breathing picked up. She turned sharply to my father. "Tell me this isn't real." His silence was her answer. And suddenly, she was furious. "You did this." Her voice snapped with rage. You messed with him? Changed him? Like some kind of experiment." My father stayed calm. "It wasn't intentional." "Intentional." Emma let out a bitter, almost hysterical laugh. "You turned my boyfriend into a..." She stopped herself. Her mouth clamped shut, like she couldn't say it, couldn't acknowledge it, and that hurt more than anything. I wrapped my arms around myself. "I didn't want this," I whispered. "It just happened." Emma looked at me. Really looked at me. I saw the emotions warring in her eyes. Confusion, disbelief, anger, and something else. Something I couldn't place. A long, tense silence. Then Emma shook her head. She turned, storming toward the door. "Wait!" I reached for her, panic gripping my chest. She flinched, like she didn't even want me to touch her. That made my stomach twist. "I can fix this," I blurted. I just need time." Emma's back was still to me. Her fingers tightened on the doorknob. Then, without looking back, she walked out. The second the door shut behind her, the room felt different. Colder. I swayed where I stood, my hands curled into fists. I should go after her. I should. My father sighed. "You knew this was a possibility." I whirled on him. "Did I?" My voice broke. Because I don't remember ever thinking my entire life would fall apart in 24 hours. He didn't answer. Because he knew I was right. I turned away, pressing my hands into my face. My breathing was shaky, my thoughts racing too fast to catch. Emma was gone. She knew. And now, I didn't know what was going to happen. Would she tell someone? Would she ever speak to me again? Would I even get the chance to fix this before she decided she couldn't handle it? I dropped into the nearest chair, head spinning. For the first time since this started, I felt truly lost. A buzz. I jerked at the sound. My phone. A message. "Emma." My stomach flipped. Hands shaking, I unlocked my phone. Her message was short, but it made my blood run cold. "Emma, we need to talk." I stared at the words. She wasn't gone. She wasn't done. But I didn't know if that was a good thing. I took a shaky breath. And I typed, "Me when?" The reply came instantly. "Emma, tomorrow. My place. Alone." Another pause. Then one more message. "Emma, don't lie to me again." I felt something heavy settle in my chest. Tomorrow, everything would change. As I sat there, heart pounding, staring at Emma's last message, I realized something. I wasn't scared of her finding out the truth anymore. I was scared of what she'd do with it.